Growing up the son of NASCAR legend Bill Elliott, you'd think young Chase Elliott would idolize his old man. But there was another driver who captured Chase Elliott's attention and earned his fandom, even if it took guts for Chase Elliott to admit it. That driver was none other than 3X Cup champion Tony Stewart. From Tony Stewart's magnetic personality to his jovial pranks on Chase Elliott as a kid at the track, Chase became enamored with Tony Stewart from an early age. In this video, we'll talk about why Chase Elliott quietly rooted for Tony Stewart behind his dad's back as a boy, what drew Chase Elliott to Stewart's outrageous yet magnetic persona, and how Elliott eventually got to live out his childhood dream of racing on track with his idol, Tony Stewart. Let's dive right in. Make sure to subscribe, ding that notification bell, and let's get right into the video. Let's rewind to little Chase Elliott, wandering the NASCAR garage as a kid alongside his old man Bill Elliott, the 1988 Cup champion. Now you'd expect Chase Elliott would obviously idolize his father first and foremost, given his pops' star power and success. But there was something about that loudmouth Tony Stewart that resonated with Chase Elliott once he emerged onto the NASCAR scene in the late 90s. Maybe it was Tony Stewart walking that fine line between laid back and fired up. He could go from cracking jokes barefoot around the hauler one minute to intensely stare-downs with rivals the next. Chase Elliott got drawn into Tony Stewart's magnetic ups and downs, how his emotions wore right on his sleeve each race weekend. Because that raw authenticity was easy for a kid like Chase Elliott to latch onto. Of course, Tony Stewart's outright hilarity and love for joking around was a big piece of the appeal too. Chase Elliott fondly remembers Tony Stewart pulling little pranks on him whenever he passed through the garage, like grabbing Chase Elliott's ear to mess with him, or just stopping to chat with genuine charisma that put Chase Elliott right at ease around his growing hero. And Chase Elliott especially admired the way Tony Stewart was with other drivers' kids too, how he formed that instant bond and understanding. He saw how Tony treated Kevin Harvick's young son Keelan Harvick the same way, full of laughs and welcome mischief. Chase Elliott remembered such an occasion in these words, "You know, he would walk up to you and grab the back of your ear, mess with you a little bit. I always thought that was really cool. For whatever reason, he and I kind of had that connection." For Chase Elliott, getting that inside glimpse of Tony Stewart's softer side only raised his stock higher. But for as much as Chase Elliott was becoming a closet Tony Stewart fan, openly admitting that was another story. You gotta realize, when your dad's a superstar like Awesome Bill Elliott from Dawsonville himself, it's tough to profess liking another driver. Even for impressionable Chase Elliott as a youngin', that household brand loyalty ran deep. So Chase Elliott knew saying he enjoyed pulling for Tony required going out on a limb. I mean, that number 9 car represented his family name, his dad's legacy that raised Chase Elliott in the sport. So picking another driver took guts for Chase Elliott even as a boy. He didn't want to seem like he was abandoning his pop's commitment to their Elliott clan history. Yet at the end of the day, Tony Stewart's riotous personality and connection with Chase Elliott at the track prevailed. Tony Stewart became that first driver not named Elliott that little Chase Elliott felt comfortable enough to openly cheer for. And it was quite the tightrope walk of managing both allegiances, the Crown Prince of Dawsonville and the People's Champ. But the craziest twist came once Chase Elliott was all grown up and followed his father's footsteps to racing NASCAR stock cars full-time. It was Chase Elliott's rookie year piloting the iconic number 9 for Hendrick Motorsports when his childhood dreams became reality. Because who else came out of retirement for one more ride other than Chase Elliott's longtime idol Tony Stewart in 2016? Yep, Chase Elliott was actually going to race Cup side by side with his self-professed childhood hero. Talk about manifesting an epic dream into existence. Once the gravity of that scenario set in, you knew Chase Elliott must have been geeking out internally once sharing the track with Tony Stewart. Like pinching himself at the fantasy-turned-reality of racing on Sundays with his formative idol Tony Stewart. Even though Tony Stewart's comeback that year was short-lived, just those handful of races must have been ultra-surreal for our man Chase Elliott, knowing he no longer had to hide that Inner Tony Stewart fanboy now that Chase Elliott was a true Cup driver himself, battling amongst his old heroes. I'm sure Tony Stewart stopped to mess with Chase Elliott just like the old days when they were on track together that year as well. One final tug of the ear or spirited ribbing from Tony Stewart would have completed Chase Elliott's crazy coming of age. Getting to straddle those two worlds, his Dawsonville roots and Tony Stewart super fandom all at once. And that wraps up the inside scoop on Chase Elliott's covert childhood fandom of NASCAR icon Tony Stewart. From Tony Stewart's magnetic personality to the guts it took young Chase Elliott to cheer for him, all culminating in Chase Elliott getting to achieve the dream of racing Cup side by side with his longtime idol. It's awesome seeing how drivers like Tony Stewart leave lasting impressions on young fans like Chase Elliott in those formative years. And who knows? Maybe we'll get more heartwarming stories of current NASCAR racers getting to meet or compete with their childhood heroes down the road. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you rooted for in secret too back in the day, or who your forbidden favorite driver was as a kid. Don't forget to smash those like and subscribe buttons for more NASCAR story times and nostalgia all season long. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll catch you at the next race.